record-setting scorer and one of the game's premier facilitators, makes her third All-Star appearance from the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark! This Dallas...
They literally were booing, bro.
That sound is the whole story in one moment. Caitlin Clark gets introduced at a WNBA All-Star event, and instead of the league's biggest audience magnet getting a clean superstar welcome, you hear boos loud enough that people immediately started asking the uncomfortable question, how did the face of the boom become the villain in the room?
Okay, A'ja Wilson has high praise for Olivia Miles. This is what she had to say. A'ja Wilson said, you're a star, for real. You're a star. You're going to have a really good career in this league. Now, I don't remember A'ja Wilson ever saying anything like this to Caitlin Clark. I remember A'ja Wilson being jealous and butthurt that Caitlin Clark's shoes was going to come out. I just remember her being jealous and butthurt about Caitlin Clark's sneakers and going on a whole victim campaign, crying her way for some sneakers to come out. I remember that. I don't remember A'ja Wilson welcoming Caitlin with these open arms like she's doing with a...
And this is where the contrast starts. A'ja Wilson sees Olivia Miles and tells her, you're a star for real. You're a star. You're going to have a really good career in this league. On its own, that is normal. That is what veterans are supposed to do. A veteran gives a young player love, encourages her, and helps build the next wave. But the reason this clip lit people up is because fans are not watching it in isolation. They are comparing the warmth around Olivia Miles and Paige Bueckers to the frost that Caitlin Clark has dealt with since the second she entered the league. That does not mean A'ja is required to praise Caitlin Clark on command. Nobody owes anybody a public tribute. But when one rookie becomes a global business engine, brings massive attention, pushes ticket prices, gets arenas packed, helps change the travel conversation, and still seems to get more resentment than respect from parts of the league, fans notice. And that is the tension. This is not just about one compliment. It is about who gets welcomed, who gets protected, who gets celebrated, and who gets treated like a problem even when the business is eating off her attention. But hold that thought, because the part that should bother the WNBA the most comes later, when the fans are not just debating praise anymore. They are debating whether the product they paid thousands to watch was even taken seriously.
Praise and love. It's so crazy how it's almost like Caitlin Clark got everybody rich. She got everybody on private jets. She got everybody popular because she got everybody watching now. And they hate her, but they just roll out the luxurious red carpet for Paige Bueckers, Olivia Miles. They just love all of them so much. I mean, they just get red carpet treatment. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark gets treated like she's in prison. Like, I don't understand.
That opening rant is emotional, but buried inside it is the central accusation. Caitlin Clark brought new eyes, new money, and new energy. And somehow the league still has not figured out how to embrace that without turning the entire conversation into a culture war. The host frames it like Clark got everybody rich, got everybody on private jets, and got everybody watching. Now that is obviously heated commentary, not a literal accounting sheet. But the broader point is real enough to discuss. Clark changed the attention economy around the WNBA. She made casual fans pay attention to regular season games, not just finals. She made people who never watched a possession suddenly know player names, team schedules, broadcast slots, and injury updates. That is rare. Every league wants that. Every commissioner dreams of that. Every sponsor wants to be near that. But with Clark, the league's problem has never been lack of attention. The problem has been what happens after the attention arrives. Because when a new audience enters any sport, there are growing pains. Longtime fans feel invaded. Veterans feel disrespected. Media coverage gets distorted. Every foul becomes a referendum. Every quote becomes a battlefield. And if the league does not control the temperature, the loudest corners of the internet control it for them. That is why this booing moment matters. It is not just a few fans making noise. It is a signal that the Clark conversation has been allowed to get so poisoned that even at an all-star event, the league's most marketable player can walk into a split-room reaction.
Olivia, and like she did with Paige, like it's just so crazy how the person who's brought so much to the league right away, like that, gets no love, no praise, just hated for absolutely nothing from day one. I mean, Caitlin Clark was getting hated on from day one. They've done everything they can to turn fans against her. So much so, Caitlin Clark is being booed in the intros now.
This is where the host goes from contrast to accusation. He says Clark was hated from day one, and that the league and its players have done everything possible to turn fans against her. That is a strong claim, so it needs to be handled carefully. There is no single official memo, no public league plan, no verified campaign saying make Caitlin Clark the villain. What there is, though, is a very visible pattern of moments that fans have interpreted that way. There were hard fouls that became national stories, there were post-game quotes that sounded dismissive, there were media debates where Clark was framed as a symbol of things far bigger than basketball. There were players pushing back against the idea that one rookie should receive so much spotlight, and there were fans who took every bit of that and built a simple narrative. The league loves what Clark brings, but does not love Clark herself. The dangerous part for the WNBA is that perception can become reality in the marketplace. If fans believe the league is hostile toward its biggest draw, they stop viewing criticism as normal sports tension and start viewing it as sabotage. And that is how a rookie season becomes bigger than basketball. The games still matter, the numbers still matter, the wins still matter. But every interaction gets filtered through one question: is this about competition or is this about resentment?
How dare y'all boo the GOAT? Y'all have lost y'all mind, man. Y'all been brainwashed by this horrible job Kathy Engelbert's done. Y'all been brainwashed by these haters in the WNBA that are jealous. Y'all have been brainwashed into hating this girl who has done nothing to nobody. All she want to do, unlike majority of these other players, all she want to do is play basketball.
Now listen to the framing here. The host says fans have been brainwashed into hating someone who just wants to play basketball. That is dramatic, but it speaks to a real divide in the audience. There is one side that says Clark receives too much attention, too much benefit of the doubt, and too much media oxygen compared to other stars who built the league before she arrived. That side sees the backlash as a correction. They believe people are finally pushing back against over-coverage. Then there is the other side that says Clark did not create the media machine around her. She did not decide the broadcast graphics. She did not decide the marketing budgets. She did not tell fans to invade comment sections. She showed up, played basketball, took the hits, took the criticism, and somehow became responsible for every annoying person on the internet who uses her name. That second point is important, because the WNBA cannot let Caitlin Clark become a stand-in for every bad faith fan, every troll account, every race debate, every media double standard, and every resentment inside the sport. Once that happens, the player stops being treated like a player, and that is how you get a room where people boo the person they also bought tickets to see.
With her random dude who's not even a Caitlin Clark or an Indiana Fever fan messages Chelsea Gray, a better in Texas. He's a Paige Beckers fan. What do? They credit it to Caitlin Clark. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Like, just the vitriol and the hate that this girl faces now is disgusting, man. And I don't know how the WNBA has dropped the ball like this, but now you have Caitlin Clark being booed at intros in all-star games. Just a fucking joke.
This clip gets to one of the strangest parts of the Clark backlash. The host references a situation where a random person messages Chelsea Gray and then Clark somehow gets blamed because the online ecosystem attaches every ugly interaction to her fan base. That is the trap. Clark is not only judged by her shot selection, her turnovers, her defense, or whether the Fever win, she gets judged by strangers who claim her, defend her, weaponize her, or use her as a shield for arguments she never made. That is unfair, but it is also the reality of modern sports stardom. The bigger the athlete, the more they become a symbol. LeBron was not just a forward from Akron. Serena was not just a tennis player. Tiger was not just a golfer. When the spotlight gets that big, the athlete becomes a walking argument. Clark is in that same machine now, only faster. The WNBA went from fighting for visibility to trying to survive the consequences of too much visibility around one person. And because the league did not set a strong enough public tone early, everyone else filled the vacuum. Players filled it with resentment. Fans filled it with tribalism. Commentators filled it with outrage. And now the All-Star intro becomes a referendum on whether the league has lost control of its own story.
Yo, shout out to everybody out there. Welcome to Indie Fan Sports. Subscribe to the channel with the content. Wow. So I just finished watching the 2026 WNBA All-Star game, man. I gotta be honest with you, man. I'm kind of surprised because last year's All-Star game was terrible. All right, the players were too worried about wearing pace what you always shirts than to actually play a game. They were all just shooting from deep. Wasn't nobody playing no defense. It was like a waste of time. And I would have thought they would have learned, and they didn't. You know what I mean?
They didn't.
I mean, only a couple of people really act like they wanted to play tonight. And I get it. You're worried about making the playoffs. It's the second half of this season. You're worried about getting hurt. You're trying to win a championship. You're not looking at it like, okay, this All-Star game makes or breaks us. But at the end of the day, coming from a fan.
Then the video pivots. And this pivot is key, because if the first half of the controversy is about Caitlin Clark being booed, the second half is about whether the WNBA gave fans a show worthy of the attention Clark helped bring. Angry Fan Sports says he had just watched the 2026 WNBA All-Star Game and he expected better after criticizing the previous year's version. His issue is not that players should risk injury like it is Game 7 of the finals. Nobody reasonable expects playoff defense in an All-Star game. Nobody is asking stars to dive into the third row in an exhibition. But fans do expect effort. They expect entertainment. They expect highlights. They expect the best players in the world to at least make the night feel special. That is the problem with all-star games across sports right now. The leagues sell them like premium events, but the players often treat them like optional cardio. And once ticket prices rise, once hotels surge, once flights get booked, once families build an entire weekend around it, the "it is just for fun" excuse starts sounding thin. Because fun for the players still has to be fun for the paying audience. That is the bargain. If the fans are paying regular season money, playoff money, or sometimes even more, the product cannot look like a casual shoot-around with cameras.
Perspective, the tickets are at least $400 a pop. People are basing their entire weekend around the All-Star game, so they're getting a ticket, that's $400. They're flying in, they're getting hotels, they're partying. You're looking at like a potential anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 for the weekend. You can at least,
And that's low. You gotta think them hotels for the weekend, bro. A decent hotel in downtown Chicago for the weekend, especially something like this, gonna run you at least $1,000. I say $1,000. You're gonna be paying $1,000 total for two. That's just for 2 days. You know what I'm saying? That's if you just did Friday, Saturday. That's gonna be $1,000. Your flight probably round trip flight $500. Your ticket $400. You at $2,000 and you haven't even bought nothing to eat yet. You haven't bought no food. You ain't got an Uber. You ain't done none of that. You looking to be you over $3,000.
This is where Angry Fan Sports makes his strongest point, because he stops talking about vibes and starts talking about money. He says tickets were at least $400 a pop, then adds flights, hotels, food, Ubers, and the rest of the weekend. He estimates someone could easily be looking at $1,200 to $2,000 and then pushes that closer to over $3,000 once everything is counted. Those numbers are commentary estimates from him, not an official league breakdown, but the logic is obvious. A live event is not just the ticket. It is the travel. It is the hotel. It is the food. It is the time off. It is the family schedule. It is the jersey. It is the parking. It is the entire emotional investment of saying, I am going to spend my weekend on this league. That is why bad all-star effort hits differently in a growing league. The WNBA is still converting curiosity into loyalty. A first-time fan who spends big money and sees a weak product may not say, that was one bad exhibition. They may say, this is why I never watched before. That is harsh, but leagues live and die by first impressions. The NBA can survive a bad all-star game because it has decades of cultural capital. The NFL can turn the Pro Bowl into a skills carnival because the league is already a giant. The WNBA is in a more delicate position. It is expanding, negotiating attention, fighting old stereotypes, and trying to prove that the surge is not a one-player bubble. So when the spotlight is brightest, the league cannot afford to look casual.
put on the game. And then not to mention, you got so many people paying attention to this weekend. They said over 19,000 people went to the game. Like, why would you not want to put on the show? I'm just confused. I'm going to play a couple of clips so you can see what I'm talking about here.
And then he lands the number that should make everybody sit up. Over 19,000 people at the game, according to the clip. That is not a small room. That is not a niche gym. That is a major crowd showing up for women's basketball during a moment when the sport has more mainstream curiosity than maybe ever before. So his question is fair. Why would you not want to put on a show? The phrase "put on a show" matters because the All-Star game is not supposed to be a normal game. It is supposed to be a showcase. It is supposed to sell personalities, rivalries, athleticism, shot-making, mic'd-up moments, crowd reactions, and the feeling that the league has stars everywhere. That is especially important when Caitlin Clark is not the only story. The league needs people to leave knowing Aja Wilson, Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, Olivia Miles, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, Aaliyah Boston, and the next wave. That is how you turn one superstar spike into a full league ecosystem. But if the game looks flat, the opposite happens. Casual fans do not discover 5 new stars. They walk away saying, where was the intensity? That is a missed marketing opportunity. And here is where the Clark booing connects to the sloppy all-star criticism. Both are symptoms of the same issue. The WNBA has attention, but it does not always know how to convert that attention into trust.
Stewart tips it alive. Williams from 4.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? Look. Look at where she shot from. Nobody's even on her. What are you doing, Gabby Williams?
Oh, Stewart tips it alive. Williams from 4-point range.
Ty Young almost subbed.
Now we get to the on-court examples. Angry Fan Sports shows a possession where the defense is basically absent, and his reaction is disbelief. Again, nobody expects playoff rotations in an exhibition, but there is a difference between letting stars breathe and looking like nobody cares what the camera is seeing. This is where leagues have to understand the casual viewer. Hardcore fans can contextualize the All-Star game. They know it is loose. They know players avoid injuries. They know the score is secondary. But casual fans do not always separate the showcase from the product. They see the league's best players, a big crowd, a national conversation, and they assume this is the advertisement. So if the advertisement looks unserious, the whole product gets judged. That is why the just an All-Star game defense only goes so far. Yes, it is not the finals. Yes, nobody should get reckless. Yes, players have a season to finish. But if you are going to sell fans a premium event, then there has to be some pride in the performance. And for the WNBA specifically, that pride matters because critics are waiting for bad clips. They are waiting for one missed layup, one awkward possession, one lazy defensive stand, one strange moment they can turn into proof that the league does not deserve the spotlight. That may be unfair, but it is predictable. So the league has to be sharper than the people trying to clown it.
No, she didn't. Look, let's look again.
Range.
Ty Young almost subbed them in when we were down by 11.
She airballed, like...
She drew that up. She knew who she wanted to pass it.
Look at it.
Oh my God. You got all the eyes on y'all, and this is what y'all do at the All-Star.
She knew who she wanted to pass it. Ooh.
You would have thought she was trying to alley it to somebody or something. Like what was that? What was that?
She wanted to pass it.
This moment is exactly the kind of clip that spreads outside the basketball audience. A player gets airborne, looks like maybe something exciting is about to happen, and then the possession turns into confusion. Angry Fan Sports immediately starts asking what that was supposed to be. Now, in a normal game, one awkward possession means nothing. Players make mistakes, timing is off. All-star lineups do not have chemistry. People are improvising. That is all fair, but viral criticism is not fair. Viral criticism compresses a whole event into 8 seconds and says, this is the league. That is why the WNBA has to be careful. When the league is under a microscope, every strange clip becomes ammunition, and that is what makes this such a frustrating moment for supporters of the league, because the WNBA has elite talent. It has real hoopers. It has players with skill, toughness, footwork, range, defense, personality, and competitive edge. But if the most shareable clips are booing, sloppy possessions, and fans complaining about effort, then the product is not being represented by its best evidence. That is not just a player issue. That is a league presentation issue. The event needs structure that pulls effort out of the players and gives fans something to care about. Add stakes, add format changes, add prize incentives, add skills challenges people actually want, build rivalries, mic up stars, make the night feel like a television product, not just a ceremonial obligation. Because attention alone does not save a league. Attention has to be shaped.
Clark went for the steal on Angel Reese.
Do you see how she's walking the ball up the court? No one's playing defense.
Asia Wilson getting the ball.
Asia Wilson blocks Angel Reese without even trying. Like...
and then saying, hey, I wasn't even trying to there. Angel Wilson and Angel Reese hugging, laughing about it. Oh!
And I know what y'all are going to say. Oh, it's the All-Star game. They're having fun. Give them a break. No. Would you pay $400 to watch this? Would you?
Then the criticism turns toward Angel Reese, and this is where the commentary gets sharper. The clip focuses on a play where Aja Wilson blocks Angel Reese, and the reaction is basically, she did that without even trying. Now, with Angel Reese, the conversation always gets heated fast. Some fans defend her because she brings energy, rebounding, personality, and a real following. Other fans criticize her offensive limitations, missed finishes, and the amount of attention she gets compared to her efficiency. Both sides can be loud, and both sides often talk past each other. In this specific all-star context, though, the issue is not just Angel. It is what the moment represents. If the league is trying to showcase its stars, then the possessions have to make the players look like stars. You do not want clips circulating where a high-profile player looks stuck, casual, or overmatched, especially when the whole internet is already waiting to turn every mistake into a meme. That is the burden of visibility. When fewer people watched, awkward moments disappeared. Now they get clipped, slowed down, narrated, and used as evidence in a larger argument. And that larger argument is brutal. Fans are asking why the league seems better at creating drama around personalities than producing a clean, compelling event around basketball. That is a dangerous place to be. Drama gets clicks, but basketball has to keep people.
And now Angel goes down. Oh no, Angel goes down now. And Angel Wilson has to pick her up. Malanga Young can't flip it in. Malanga.
Bro, come on, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Like, I don't know what they expect the All-Star game is supposed to look like, but it damn sure ain't supposed to look like that.
He's 100.
This is the payoff to the money argument. Angry Fan Sports asks a simple question. Would you pay $400 to watch this? That question cuts through all the excuses. Not because every possession has to be perfect, but because the fans are not wrong for expecting value. When a league markets an event as a celebration of its best talent, the audience is allowed to judge whether it felt like one. And this is where the WNBA has to separate criticism from hate. Some criticism of the league absolutely comes from people who never wanted women's basketball to succeed. That exists. There are bad faith voices who will mock the league no matter what it does. But not every disappointed fan is a hater. Not every person who says the All-Star game lacked effort is trying to tear down women's sports. Some of them are the exact people the league needs most. New fans who showed up, spent money, gave the product a chance, and wanted the night to feel bigger. If the WNBA dismisses those people, it makes the same mistake it has made with parts of the Caitlin Clark conversation. It treats discomfort as an enemy, instead of treating it as feedback. The league does not need to worship Clark. It does not need to center every event around her. It does not need to pretend every veteran should be thrilled about the way coverage has shifted. But it does need to understand that the new audience is not automatically permanent. You earn them every week.
Sports, this channel is right here. Go subscribe to Angry Fan Sports. Yo, that was pathetic. The display they put on, it was absolutely pathetic. I'm with Angry Fan Sports 100%. That was some BS that we just saw. Straight up. That was really, really, really bad. You got Caitlin Clark getting booed in the intros now. The league has done everything they can to mess this up. You got A'ja Wilson heaping praise on Olivia Miles that she would never heap on the Caitlin Clark. While Caitlin Clark was breaking, 62 records as a rookie, A'ja Wilson never wanted to say nothing like.
Now the host ties everything together. He says the display was pathetic, says Caitlin Clark is getting booed in intros, and then returns to the A'ja Wilson and Olivia Miles comparison. This is the full circle moment. Because the story is not simply A'ja praised Olivia. That is too small. The real story is that the WNBA's boom has created a hierarchy of who fans believe the league wants to celebrate and who fans believe the league merely wants to profit from. That perception may not be completely fair to every player involved. A'ja Wilson can praise Olivia Miles without it being an attack on Caitlin Clark. Olivia Miles can receive love without being turned into a weapon against Clark. Paige Bueckers can be welcomed without fans framing her as proof of a conspiracy. And Caitlin Clark can be booed by some fans without every player being responsible for it. But perception is still powerful. And right now, the perception among a huge part of the audience is that Clark gave the league a rocket booster, and instead of building around it with discipline, the league let jealousy, tribalism, lazy narratives, and uneven messaging turn the rocket into a war zone. That is the real failure. The WNBA had a golden chance to do two things at once. It could honor the veterans who built the foundation and embrace the newcomer who changed the ceiling. It could say A'ja is great, Caitlin is great, Angel is important, Paige is coming, Olivia has next, and the league is bigger because all of them are here. That should have been the easy message. Instead, everything became a referendum. Praise one player, and fans ask why Clark never got that tone. Criticize one all-star possession, and fans say the league is unserious. Boo one introduction, and suddenly people ask if the league's biggest star has become the villain. And the wild part is, the solution is not complicated. The league needs better event standards, better public messaging, better protection of its stars without turning every foul into a federal case, better ways to market rivalries without letting them become personal smear campaigns, better acknowledgement that fans spending real money deserve a real show, and better understanding that Caitlin Clark is not the enemy of the league's older stars. She is the bridge to a bigger audience that those stars can also benefit from. That is why this moment matters. Not because one boo ruins everything, not because one compliment proves bias. Not because one sloppy all-star sequence defines a whole league. It matters because all of those things together tell you the WNBA is standing at a crossroads. One path turns the boom into a bigger, healthier league where multiple stars can shine. The other path turns every game into a grievance factory, where fans are angrier about the politics around the sport than excited about the basketball itself. So now it is a force-of-choice question. Do you think Caitlin Clark is really becoming the WNBA's villain, or did the league and the media create a mess around her that nobody knows how to clean up? Drop your take in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me whether the all-star boos were just normal fan noise or the clearest warning sign the WNBA has gotten yet.